All right, everybody. So, I assume all of you are aware of a very infamous conservative commentator. If you could even call her a commentator, she's more of a conservative serial harasser, but she does it on video, so it's called commentary for some reason. Basically, this woman likes to approach random people at college campuses, the beach, the mall, the street, in just the middle of the street, and question people about random shit that has to do with politics. Usually people that obviously are not politically aware, right? They may have their own basic political biases, but they're certainly not prepared to have a debate with somebody who's a media-trained debate professional. Here's the thing, though. Kaitlin Bennett is not a media-trained debate professional, and despite the fact that she goes out of her way to find people that are, like, not good debaters, she has the mic and has the ability to edit up the videos selectively. She still comes out of almost every video looking like an idiot. She, like, gets rolled in every debate. Almost every time. And she keeps the clips in the video for some reason, which means either there's like a leftist undercover at Liberty Hangout, or I don't know, apparently they're just bad at editing, or maybe that's just the best they could get, and what was edited out was even worse. She got rolled even harder. It's hard to say. Regardless, though, we're talking about Kaitlin Bennett. Poo Bennett. Probably haven't heard about her in a while. She hasn't been ultra relevant necessarily, though she's still been keeping up what she's been doing and still has a pretty popular platform. The left just hasn't really been acknowledging her much. But today, we're going to be reacting to a video by Repsion called the Kaitlin Bennett Files. I'm going to drop the video in chat, though, because I actually really like Repsion. He follows me on Twitter, and I want you guys to go to his channel and support it, and drop likes and subscriptions and comments and stuff. Actually, comment down below and say that I sent you. You know, that's good. Me think she has a humiliation kink. All conservative women do. It's true. All conservative women are bottoms. There's just there's no getting around that. Regardless, though, let's get into this. Wait, straight people can be bottoms, right? Subs? Is that the term? Sub? I always thought of bottom just meaning, like, basically sub, right? Like, you get, like, the bottom gets fucked, the top does the fucking, you know? Okay. Well, that's my understanding.
My name is Kaitlin Bennett,
Wow,
and
that's
I'm the
loud.
most hated conservative woman on the internet.
Because he was so
Not wrong.
bothered, and women are clapping for him. This woman is clapping for a grown man jogging very femininely, but a grown man was so bothered, pointed at me, said, "What is this?" Natural selection is going to go down the toilet right here. We're going to end up with very soy-infused genes with men. They're going to be very feminine, and they're not going to be able to protect women like that's their job. Don't touch my stuff, no. Why would you do that to a Native American?
I'm actually Native American.
So don't oppress me.
What is dressing?
Now that's hard to watch. Listen, you either have to care absolutely nothing at all about people making fun of you in public. Like, look right now. This lady is an absolute laughingstock right now. So either she's too dumb to realize it, or she's trolling and fully playing into it, and she has high resistance to embarrassment and cringe. I think she might just be too dumb to realize that she is the cringe one here.
Up as a Native American to you?
I'm Elizabeth Warren.
You're Elizabeth.
Left wing destroyed, dude. You've absolutely destroyed the left wing by making fun of Elizabeth Warren's claims to Native ancestry. You owned the far left with that one, Kaitlin.
Warren.
Yes, the Democratic frontrunner for the candidacy.
So your version of dressing up as a Native American is to put feathers in your hair, braid your hair, and wear that.
I'm gonna say this only once. In 3 years, Kaitlin Bennett is gonna be doing videos on, like, BitChute or whatever other Nazi alternative site that has no TOS goes up in the meantime, where it's gonna be putting on blackface and triggering black people in public is gonna be the videos. Like we're not too far off from that here, are we? Like, Kaitlin Bennett dressing up in, like, a stereotypical, like, Pocahontas, like, Native American costume, walking up to an actual, like, Native American woman and being like, why are you oppressing me? Why are you oppressing me? Why are you oppressing me? Like, how far off are we from that here, you know? You know, this wasn't even that. This could actually happen on YouTube. Who remembers the Joey Salads hood prank YouTube channels? Who remembers the hood prank channels where basically some white conservative guy would get like a shitty car and plaster it in Trump stickers and then pay like a bunch of black guys to destroy it on camera to push the idea that like black people will assault you and destroy your property if you support Trump because they're violent animals or something, I guess is the message of the video. At least subtly hidden under there. This kind of stuff has been common on YouTube for a while. This is nothing new.
Yes.
You understand that you're disturbing people, correct?
I'm not disturbing
You are-
anybody.
She has been kicked out of places many times by the cops, and she likes to argue with them about how, in fact, she is not making a disturbance or bothering people or harassing anyone. This gets even funnier. I've seen this clip. The cop starts saying, I don't care about ACAB. I don't care that these people don't like cops. Get the fuck out of here.
Are you sure about that?
Can I tell you something
let
that's
me tell
happening
you
about
something.
disturbance,
Let
but
me
you
tell
haven't
you
been
something
watching
now.
what's happening.
Let me tell you something right now.
I support
I've got the
police.
funny
I
camera on
support
too.
you. What do you think, Justin?
I think it's a sad state of affairs that these people can come out, bully you, harass you, shove you. We have it all on footage. All we came to do was come here and ask people very simple questions, and then we're the ones that have the...
This is my bestie. She goes everywhere with me.
Our bodies, our choice. This is what democracy looks like.
I have mind control. I'm not even telling them to do it, and they're doing everything I'm thinking you guys are doing. Mind control. I don't even have to tell them to do it, and they do everything I think.
You're free to be on your way.
You're being so disrespectful to me, and
You
I've been
are
nothing
free
but
to be
support.
So basically what she thinks she's doing right now is, where's that? Oh, there's a perfect... I saw on Twitter the other day, the perfect visualization of the face conservatives make as they dog whistle about wanting to do bad shit. This is the face. It's the DreamWorks face, but this really personifies it perfectly. She thinks she is this face right now, and everybody else is the crying, screaming, like eyeballs popping out of their head, triggered Wojak, when in reality everybody is just laughing at her and she's embarrassing herself. We're making that an emoji, by the way. That is getting added to the website.
On your
of
way.
you.
You are free to be
A
on
lot
your
of people
way.
here hate you because you're a cop. But
I don't
support
care what
you.
anyone thinks about me.
I am a victim of disorderly conduct.
What's that?
We
I
have
have
video
been-
for being assaulted.
Okay. Would you like me to make a report about you being assaulted?
Shut up.
Does Michael have the footage on there?
I don't know if he has.
I'm not.
Welcome to the Kaitlin Bennett files. This is somebody who
Repsion.
I've never uttered their name on this channel before. In the last few years, this individual has created quite a stir, a large controversy of doing very insensitive, inappropriate, downright stupid things on the internet. If you've ever been eager to see top-tier cringe, well, today
You know what's crazy? I just realized it. I've watched Repsion since I was like 13, 14, maybe 15. Now he follows me on Twitter. It's pretty wild. I know obviously being followed on Twitter isn't like the peak of friendship or anything like that, but it's always pretty wild to me when content creators that have been around and like a large content creator for like a long time, like Repsion's like a YouTube OG, when one of them follows me. You know who followed me on Twitter recently that was like, oh my god, what a YouTube legend. Guess who followed me? Epic Mealtime. Epic Mealtime. Harley Morenstein. Morenstein? I'm bad at last names, I'm sorry. Literal legendary YouTuber. That's a good one.
today that will be served to you on a plate. You see, Kaitlin Bennett is no ordinary blonde. She's an evangelical who thinks that she has an IQ of over 1,000 because she asks very engaging, deep, unanswerable questions. She has a channel called Liberty Hangout with over 600,000 subscribers, but if you sift through her content, boy will you see a lot of things. She made a dedicated video on the rest in peace of Roe versus Wade. I'm no longer an atheist, my journey to faith. But here's the thing, whether you are liberal
I absolutely do not believe anybody who's like, this is why I'm not an atheist anymore. This is how I found God. That I know there are people who convert to Christianity later in life, but I find it very hard to believe when I see those videos. Like, okay, so you've been a conservative commentator for years, and you're telling me this whole time, defending Christian conservative values, and now all of a sudden you're telling us you were an atheist this whole time and you're converting to Christianity? When were you were, I would have assumed you were a Christian, you know?
Whether you're Republican, at the end of the day, I don't really care. Red, blue, but depending on how you go about spreading your message, your beliefs, that's the only time that I'm ever going to really raise my eye.
By the way, the questions that Kaitlin Bennett asks are impossible to answer in the same way the question, why is the sky purple, is impossible to answer.
Brow, question your intentions and say and maybe even respond on why you're wrong. I have the belief of having civil dialogue with anybody and talking about anything. Kaitlin Bennett, however...
Hi, sweetie. Hi.
So right there, that's all of you should have heard and seen, but unfortunately, Kaitlin Bennett always has to go the extra mile to do things that just normal people just would never think to do.
I remember
this way
this.
of like trying to patronize and antagonize people that she talks to. And in this particular case, she walks up to a father holding his daughter's hand and acts all nice and sweet, following it up with a very inappropriate question that no child should be even asked at that age.
Do you know what the #1 cause of death in the United States is? It's abortion.
No, actually.
Oh, God. She's like some kind of fucking, like, wraith that comes from the fog to, like, scream demonic tongues into the ears of little children.
It's abortion.
Shay, you have a right to one.
I wish I knew who that father was, because his response that you have a right to one, even if you, no matter what your personal beliefs are, if you are against abortion, for abortion, you can have your personal beliefs, but at the end of the day, everybody should have a choice what they want to do with their own body. The father...
That is objectively the correct position, by the way. Anybody who is against this position will, like, and tries to take, like, some libertarian, like, front as, like, politically is an idiot and is lying to you, okay? The only actual libertarian freedom-based position is that everybody has the option to get an abortion or not. That is the only true free alternative, okay? That not like states deciding whether or not they want to ban it or not, because that means that people who want to have access to it can't if they live in that state. That's not freedom.
Father's response is Father of the Year award.
Abortion is murder.
I'll abort you after.
You abort me after term?
Yes, like late-term abortion. You.
Stop sticking your nose in people's other business where it doesn't belong and has no
I believe him. I believe him. I absolutely believe him.
influence on you personally. You see here, Kaitlin Bennett thrives on this type of interaction. She thrives on trying to invoke the angriest type of response by being the most intentionally offensive. Not just, this isn't like a satirical joke. This is something that she really does. She goes right up to people and says the most terrible things to someone to invoke an outrage. And then when they do react by saying something absolutely deplorable, she's like, Look at the liberals. Look at these guys. Look at these women. Look at these they-thems.
Well, the whole idea of conservative propaganda is to frame the left as being angry and triggered, right? Because they can't make an argument as to why the things the left are mad about are pointless or bad or wrong. They just say, oh, the left is mad, and being mad and caring online, that makes you sound like a fool.
Look at these trans people. Look. I invoked absolute rage by going up to somebody and saying things like this. All right. I'm sorry. I'll tone it down a little bit. I'm getting a little bit worked up. I don't like Kaitlin Bennett, if you don't already know. So for those of you who don't know, Kaitlin Bennett's career or her popularity exploded in the last few years due to the fact that she did something that really no students have ever. Oh, look at that fuzz. It just almost boiled right over. What exploded Kaitlin Bennett in popularity was her, after graduating from university, walking on campus with this infamous...
I thought he was going to say what caused Kaitlin Bennett to explode online was her ass exploding, but, you know, close.
Photo. This went viral everywhere. Facebook, Twitter. She earned the reputation known as the gun girl. Now, on the surface level, I don't really have
Damn it, I'm eating leftovers. I'm sorry, Apillo. I'm sorry.
an issue of people having firearms in general. I don't care if you have a concealed permit. I don't care if you wear a pistol on the side of your belt. One of the things that really drives me insane and makes me really despise Kaitlin Bennett is she's the type of person to really thrust things into your face. My question is always, why? Why do you need to walk into a McDonald's with an M16 strapped to your back? What purpose is that serving other than to aggressively, like, show off that you have a rifle? And look, I love...
Well, it's because they don't care about gun ownership for the right reasons, right? So usually when leftists talk about arming their communities or arming, like, a group of people, they don't, like, you don't usually see lefties showing off their guns, do you? Like, there are plenty of lefty gun owners, but they don't typically, like, flaunt them. And I think the reason for that is that the left doesn't really care as much, or at least sometimes even demonizes, large showings of traditional masculinity. And showing off guns is about as traditionally masculine as it gets. That's just how our culture has established things. There's no way to get around it. That's just what it is. And I don't think it's a bad thing on its own, but the type of gun brandishing where you're literally walking into a McDonald's with a AR strapped over your back, or whatever the fuck gun she had. Clearly it was some kind of long rifle, the way he described it. Like, walking into a fucking McDonald's where there's, like, kids eating their Happy Meals with a big gun on your back, strapped, like, over your shoulder, to trigger the libs and to make people feel uncomfortable. And the point of the video is to make fun of the people that are uncomfortable. It's because they want to frame the left, particularly liberals, as being these meek, soy betas that get uncomfortable around guns. And while that stereotype can oftentimes be pretty damn true, it really upsets me that Democrats play into it. One of the things that upsets me the most is when Joe Biden and other Democrat politicians say assault weapon. There is no type of gun called assault weapon. It's really, really frustrating because anybody who knows even an ounce of anything about guns can call that out as, like, dumb in a heartbeat, right? And it makes any argument in favor of any type of gun control or gun restriction of any kind, just, it makes it a lot more well-poisoned, because right off the bat, the Democrats sound like they don't know what they're talking about. Frankly, I think the Democrats should just drop the gun issue. I think the Democrats basically, ironically enough, shoot themselves in the foot every time they rail on the gun issue, and it just causes them to lose votes. I think Americans have just gotten used to mass shootings at this point. They don't decide elections. They never will. Americans do not care enough about kids getting shot to give up their guns. That is never going to happen. It's a losing battle. It's a losing battle.
Guns. I'm a gun owner myself. I own several firearms. I support a person's right to bear arms, open carry, conceal carry. I support those things. But there's a point where if you're walking around with a, you know, a gigantic shotgun on your back and rifles on your back, casually going to Walmart, I'm like, why are you doing this? What are you trying to prove here other than you are a gun nut? Probably a little too extreme for me. And what a lot of people don't recognize, what a lot of people don't ever talk about, is that every facet of every ideology, of every political aspect of everything, there is a form of extremism. And whether that be guns, whether that be abortion, whether that be political extremism, is bad. Always. You can always take things too far. And Kaitlin happens to be one of those people who not only takes the gun rights stuff, in my personal opinion, way too far, but she goes the step further in antagonizing and aggressively attacking people. 2 years ago, she made a video on her channel that went semi-viral on college students have no morals. Now,
I think we covered this on my stream, didn't we? It was really good. She just got fucking wrecked.
Personally, I think that's a little bit of a heavy title. College students have no morals. Now, naturally, you're going to ask yourself, well, what's the topic of? You know, she's going out to these universities. She's trying to interview people. She's trying to have a quote-unquote civil conversation. You see, Kaitlin Bennett spews that she is an advocate for people being able to voice their opinions and have freedom of speech. However, if you go to her YouTube channel right now, and you even go to some of these more viral videos, you're going to find that, number one, the likes and dislike ratios are disabled. Go figure. But the best part of all is that the comment sections of these videos that went viral are disabled.
Every comment is just calling her poo-poo Bennett. Like, the amount of hate watchers Kaitlin Bennett has is actually immense. Most of her popularity is actually just the fact that she's a right... So the left doesn't usually use this term. It's very much sort of a chuddy right-wing term in like the darker, more, weird communities on the internet. But lolcow. Kaitlin Bennett is a lolcow. Lefties just don't use that word. But it's how her content is consumed by lefties. People like Hassan, me, Vosh, Shark, Demon Mama, etc. We all cover like the segments of Kaitlin Bennett, just making a fool of herself, and we laugh. And most people that watch her content, from what I can tell, are probably lefties that are pointing and laughing at her, because she doesn't really do a good job of pushing right-wing propaganda even. She's just kind of embarrassing, you know? You don't really see... When was the last time you heard someone like Ben Shapiro say, this lovely girl, Kaitlin Bennett? Like, Ben Shapiro's never going to shout out or associate his brand with someone like Kaitlin Bennett. Like, hell no.
Gee, I wonder why. So much for having an open conversation, because limiting people's ability to comment on the video that you posted on your channel, that doesn't make you look like you're trying to censor people's freedom of speech. Now, look, it is her YouTube channel. She can do whatever she wants with it. I support that, whatever.
Still hypocritical.
But the point being is, if you're going to come out as an advocate by saying freedom of speech, I support people having a different opinion than me, you probably should have one of your most controversial videos. You should have the comments enabled to some extent, because it just really, at the end of the day, makes you look like a hypocrite.
What do you think about starting an initiative on campus here at UK to be more inclusive to women who have penises, and we can put urinals in the women's restroom for them?
Sounds fantastic.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. What about, let's take it one step close, more for inclusivity here on campus, and put free tampons and pads in the men's restroom for men who have periods?
Sounds great.
Okay. You don't see any...
He's just like, yeah, sure. He's just vibing. He's just going on with this day. Like, yeah, what's up? How you doing? Sure, why not? Well, yeah, and? So, Kaitlin Bennett, so you know how lately I've been talking about how the right basically skates by on this perception that they are these cool, edgy, irreverent, we don't want you to improve yourself, we don't want you to care about anything, we just want you to be based, we're gonna help you be based, we're gonna help you improve yourself, we're gonna fight against the left, which is trying to force you to try to change the things that you like, it's gonna make everything worse, everything's gonna be woke, we can help fight that, right? We're gonna fight the bad vibes. But very quickly, after a while, or not very quickly, but after a while, these right-wing communities, time and time again, always resort to, well, the mask falls off. They reveal they aren't these chill, cool, composed people that don't really care. They actually have a very strong agenda. They actually want to change the world quite a lot. And it's really just the most brainwashed and craziest and most isolated that tend to go furthest down the rabbit hole. And they, sometimes end up shooting a place up, like what happened recently. But most of them end up growing out of it. And one of the biggest events for me that caused me to grow out of it was the realization that actually these conservative types care a lot. And if they won, they would push their values that I don't agree with, because not everybody who watches conservative content agrees with every conservative value. Maybe they just think the SJWs are a problem. When the realization sets in that the right is not okay with people disagreeing with them either, and they really can't go that long without admitting that. I mean, you've seen it, right? What, Nick Fuentes said about Jewish people, what Matt Walsh says about trans people. The more and more fervent that gets, it becomes like a mound of hate that collapses in on itself. It can't sustain. And Kaitlin Bennett is a perfect example of that. She is the definition of the conservative that is trying to shove her views in your face and force you to believe what she believes is annoying and cringy about it and acts like a triggered SJW. People like this is the true face of the right. This is what the right actually is. Everybody who isn't like this on the right are as famous and successful as they are because they put on a very good mask to hide it. Eventually that mask slips and their inner Kaitlin Bennett comes out, or their inner Nick Fuentes comes out. And it typically results in, well, them falling off. They end up more or less irrelevant down the road. Hate does not sustain itself forever.
Anything wrong with those statements?
No.
What men do you know
like
with periods?
General use ones like in Willie T have pads.
Not to mention, there are dads who might have their baby with them, or dads who might have their baby with them, or dads who might have like their daughter with them, who might be like on. Why would babies don't go on their periods? They have their daughter with them, and like base trans Chad, like might have their daughter with them, who's like on her period and be like, hey, I don't want to go in the bathroom alone, or like, hey, can you go get me like a tampon? Like, why not be able to go into a men's bathroom and get one? Like, why not? Pads and tampons? Like, why shouldn't there be one in the men's bathroom for scenarios outside of even trans men? Like, there are scenarios where that could be helpful. Not to mention tampons can work well, and tampons and pads can work well as like very, very primitive like medical aid. So they're just kind of useful to have one readily around if something happens. And not to mention, like, actually, this is a good example. This is a good story. So had there been readily accessible like pads and tampons in men's restrooms, this story would not have gone the way that it did. So I want to remind you all, this happened when I was like 15. And so in my view, this was actually embarrassing, right? So, hi, Natty Forsyth. So basically, I was 14 or 15, and I was on a date with a girl. All right, it was my girlfriend, right? As much of a girlfriend as you can have when you're in fucking high school and you're 15. And we went to a roller skating rink, and we're having a good time roller skating about, and she stops. She's like, Alex? She like sits down. She's like, Alex, I think my period started. I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm freaking out internally right now because I'm a Floridian boy who has not had any level of sexual education. So all I know is that the period is when the uterine wall sheds its mucous membrane, and an egg and from the fallopian tubes go down, and then it turns into a red slush, and then it hurts and there's cramps. Like, that's pretty much all I knew. And so like I'm breaking a cold sweat. I'm getting scared. I'm like, okay. And she's like, I think I need a pad or a tampon. And I'm like, so I figure out the only way that this is going to work out is for me to go up to the front desk where you get your skates, and to ask the lady at the front desk if she has a pad or tampons behind the desk, or if she has one in her purse or anything, and take them. Now, this is obviously not embarrassing, and in fact mega giga chad to do as a guy. But at the time I thought this was embarrassing, so I was like nervous while it was happening. But I walked up to the front desk, and I'm like to the lady at front, like, hi, do you have any tampons or pads for my friend, my girlfriend? And she was like, yeah, sure, okay. And she literally like reached down into like a bag of holding and pulled one out and hands it to me. And I conceal it under my flannel because I remember I was wearing flannel that day. And I like hand it to her like I'm ejecting a hidden blade, like an Assassin's Creed. It was a little bit of an embarrassing, like, funny story, but like, if we just had pads and tampons in bathrooms, like, I could have just like, in men's bathrooms, I could have just like walked into the men's bathroom, grabbed one out of like a little dispenser, and walked right out. That's just one example of an experience I've had where guys just being able to walk into a bathroom and grab a pad or tampon would be handy. Like, even outside of some left-wing trans ideology perspective that Kaitlin Bennett might want to push. She's just stupid.
I use them pretty often. So
First things first, I have interacted and I have spoken to trans people before, and I have never heard, and I'm not saying this doesn't exist, but I've never heard of a trans person demanding that there be urinals in actual bathrooms for them. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, hasn't happened, but I've just never heard.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna be realistically speaking, in my experience as well, most trans people, like, at least trans women in particular, prefer to pee sitting down because cis women tend to pee sitting down, and it's like an easy thing that is womanly to do. It just easy, you know, like just sit down when you pee, and society considers you like like literally like tangibly more womanly. Like, so much so that guys who pee sitting down get made fun of because it's considered womanly. Like, yeah, trans women aren't exactly out there vying for urinals in women's restrooms, typically. Yeah, dysphoria.
A trans person say, like, you know, I need to be represented through a urinal in the bathroom. But at the end,
not to mention, plenty of trans women have had bottom surgery and have vaginas, so they wouldn't exactly want to pee standing up, you know, any more than a cis woman would want to.
I don't really care who is that affecting. But you notice the question that she asked, do you see anything wrong with having pads in the male restroom? And this is personally, no, I don't. But you know what I do see? If I walk into a male restroom and I see that there are some free tampons or pads, guess what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to take those for my kids. Because guess what? When you have daughters, they are going to...
I didn't pre-watch this video, by the way. I swear I didn't pre-watch this video. I literally gave the example of, like, what if a dad has, like, a kid or, like, their daughter, and their daughter is, like, on her period and he wants to, like, get his kid some help. Like, I literally gave that example. That's literally one that I went to. I swear, I have not pre-watched this. I have not pre-watched. I swear. I have not pre-watched.
Gonna have periods, and guess what? In an inflated economy right now, tampons are crazy expensive. At least here,
that is
Walgreens, true. I just was looking the other day, $30 for a small box. I think it was like 12 or 13, 15 tampons, $30. So you bet your jelly beans, I'm gonna go into the male restroom, I'm gonna grab those pads, and I'm gonna bring them back home so they can be put to use. My question then stems is, how does this affect you? Whether you are for or against pads being put in...
The fact that she didn't clock him makes it funnier because they always boast about how they can always tell who's trans from 1,000 miles away. Wait, that guy was trans? I didn't even know. That guy was trans? The guy that she was interviewing? Who said, yeah, there's no... I have no problem with it? I think he was joking. I'm not going to question. I'm not going to question it. But that is hilarious because conservatives always say, we can always tell. I assume if you're trans, you've heard this, but if you're not, maybe you haven't. But a very common turf for transphobe talking point, or like saying, I guess, is, we can always tell. The funny thing is they really can't. They really can't. The funniest thing is when the turfs on Twitter harass, like, verified cis women. And by verified cis women, I mean, like, women who have OnlyFans accounts where, like, so they post pictures on Twitter, so, like, pretty sure they're not trans, right? They'll, like, quote tweet them and be like, you'll never be a woman, you'll never be a woman. It's like, I'm a cis woman who does sex work on the internet. How are you accusing me of being a trans woman right now? Like, are you deranged? Like, that is the level of, like, of you will never be a woman that you will see, or like, we can always tell that you will see. It's really dumb.
Both restrooms. How is this affecting your life? Why are you so angry over the fact that this is a thing in some schools? You know what I also think they should be doing in male restrooms at colleges? They should be supplying condoms. They should be supplying condoms for men.
When even showing the turfs your coochie won't convince them you're cis. Here's an x-ray of my guts. You can see my uterus and fallopian tubes and the eggs here. I swear I'm cis. No, you will never be a woman. We can always tell.
And what's wrong with that? Or even female condoms. Those are a thing. Put them in the restroom too. I'm all about, like, giving people free education and free resources and materials to prevent, let's have safe sex, or let's reduce pregnancy rates. Let's do whatever we can to make men and women to live a healthy life. And if that includes putting tampons in both restrooms, I'm all for it. I don't give a shit. Doesn't affect me. I'm going to save money. Voila, win-win.
We're here today at the University of Kentucky to see if college kids think we should put tampons and pads in the men's restroom for men who have periods and urinals in the women's restrooms for women who have ding-dongs.
Hey, at least she refers to them as men and women.
Really? What is this, the 80s? Why do you have...
Earlier, a transphobe came to chat and said, "You will never be a woman to Zan. They really can't tell." Oh yeah, I literally have had, like, Nazis come into my, like, DMs and try to, like, throw insults at me as though I was trans, and I'm just like, okay. I think if you say so, buddy. I guess if you think this is supposed to hurt my feelings, I guess. You're gonna die screaming. I always reply to DMs like that now. I have a feeling you're going to die screaming. And then I block them, and that's it. Simply, I have a feeling you're going to die screaming. Every time someone DMs me some shit like that.
Dubstep in your intro. Come on. What is up with this cringe music?
Do you think we should put tampons in men's restrooms for men who have periods?
Men who have periods? What? Talking about, like, transgender people?
What do you think about putting urinals in the women's restroom for women who have penises?
That's fine. If it makes them feel comfortable, I don't mind. Like, I don't really care about it.
Are you willing to...
Kaitlin Bennett be like, "Women are concerned that trans women are coming into female spaces. That women are concerned." And women are like, yeah, sure, I don't mind. I don't care. How's that, like, affect me? Am I supposed to be upset about that? Why would I be upset seeing a urinal in the restroom I'm using? Like, I don't care.
To accept that some women do have penises?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I'm all for, like...
Some chicks have dicks. Simple.
I just want people to feel comfortable. Like, if they want to use the women's restroom, I have no problem with it.
Then she titles it "College Students Have No Morals." So obviously she's equating the fact that their answers mean that they have no sort of morality. Typical of evangelical Christian women and men to invoke that people have no morals if they do things that they otherwise disagree with. How loving and accepting. How tolerant.
If you were to walk into the women's restroom and you saw a woman with a penis there using a urinal, would you be concerned, or would you accept it and be inclusive? What would you do?
It's none of my business.
It's none of your business that a man is in the women's restroom.
If they're in the women's restroom, then they identify as a woman.
Oh.
Giga-based.
Who would have known men walking into... Okay, don't question anything about men walking into women's restrooms ever. They're just there because they're women.
She's trying to... Why would you include this in the video? You're nervous, like, oh, fuck. Okay, women don't actually care about... Okay, fuck, oh, shit,
Not predators, no.
Oh, geez. Kaitlin. This is... Okay, we gotta go back in my past. You see, I grew up Southern Baptist in the church, and this was one of the common myths, the lies that I was taught growing up. Is that if somebody is trans, whether they go through the surgeries or not, if somebody is trans or they identify as a male or a female and they go into the opposite restroom, therefore they are going to hurt the gender that's in the restrooms. This was something I grew up with, is that men want to go into female restrooms.
This is a very common, like, talking point or, like, sort of assumption. It's almost this, like, assumption, right? That comes from this disgust response, like, not really well thought out, just sort of like, use your common sense. Men are rapists, right? Or men are, you know how guys are. Like, if you're a dude, you're like, you know how guys really think, right? Like, you don't want you don't want other guys being able to go into the bathroom with your little girl or your wife, do you? You know, that kind of thing. That mindset has been around for a really long time. Conservative propaganda takes that basic sort of what's the incorporeal idea, that sentiment, and turns it into a actual rounded out piece of propaganda that they spread and say over and over again, and people who feel like that's kind of right believe it, you know? Oh, listen, Nick Fuentes watches femboys pee daily. It's the only thing that gets him up in the morning.
Restrooms identify as being trans just so they can do terrible assault people. This is insane.
Well, he's about to explain it, but also, like, imagine, like, some serial rapist murderer dude who thinks that he has to dress up as a woman and go into a woman's restroom. Like, let's say we've got the woman's restroom killer, all right? And he's a cis guy, all right? Why would he have to dress up as a woman to go into the woman's bathroom to do his serial rape murder? Like, the most notorious serial killers in history hid in plain sight by just doing, they just did the crime. You just go and you do it, right? Like, no one's going through such an elaborate ruse to, like, go on some sort of quest to assault and abuse women, you know? Not to mention, even if we look at it from the conservative viewpoint, right? The idea that, like, if you look at it from the conservative view, that trans women are in fact men who are predatory, like, doesn't this feed into the so-called feminist narrative that men are, like, rapists? Like, conservatives are always arguing against, like, this feminist narrative that all men are rapists, all men are predators. So even if we look from the conservative viewpoint, this is basically backing up that, you know, supposed left-wing misconception we're trying to push that men are all predators. So they defeat their own argument.
Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because obviously people have done this regardless of whether identifying as trans or not. There are bad people. People are going to do things. People are going to be perverts. People are going to be creeps, regardless of whether they identify as being trans or not. Is very, very damaging, because what you're doing here is you're basically saying that any sort of inclusivity to somebody who's trans therefore implies that they're a predator, which to me is so ironic, because my childhood being told that people who are trans or people who want to use the opposite, you know, restroom, therefore are a danger to the opposite gender. Isn't it crazy that me being young and a teenager being told this shit, at the same time, the church itself, whether that be Catholic or any church for that matter, or any ideology of religion, has some of the most prominent sexual abuse in the churches themselves, and yet they're telling me as a teen and young kid that, hey, if somebody's trans, therefore they're a predator. Like, the irony in that is just weird to me. And it doesn't matter if you're part of the LGBTQ plus or not. There are predators everywhere, regardless of whether you are religious or not, regardless of whether you are trans or not, regardless of whether you are gay or not. They exist, right? People can use communities, people can use groups of people and use that to their own advantage to prey on people. It exists universally in every aspect and facet of the world, and to contribute being trans or contribute being gay as you're a predator, which I honestly can't believe that there are people who still spew this sort of damaging rhetoric that, oh, if you're gay, you must want to, you know, hurt little boys or hurt girls. This to me is just nothing but...
Well, it's an easy thing to do, right? Because, so, assuming that you're not a pedophile, you're disgusted by them, right? Like, it's a pretty natural response, I think. Like, even if it's not logical, even if it's not productive, even if it's maybe not the best response for us to have if we want to get non-offending pedophiles help so they don't actually, you know, do anything to kids, it's still a natural response, disgust, to the people who would sexually abuse and take advantage of the most vulnerable, and we are literally evolutionarily driven to protect demographic in our society, children, right? It is a natural response. The right preys on that, though, because that same disgust response isn't too dissimilar to the disgust response that people have to, well, anything that is new to them or foreign to them, such as homosexuality or gender, what's the term for it? Gender nonconformance. Confirmation? Whatever the term is. Gender nonconformancy. These are things that are typically alien to a lot of people. And so they'll respond to it in a very unfamiliar, disgust, emotional response in the same way, not in the same exact way, but in a not too dissimilar way in a lot of cases to the way that people respond to or react to pedophiles. You get a lot of the people that'll be like, oh, I got nothing wrong with gay people as long as they don't do it around me. Like, is that person really, like, cool with gay people? Like, if they're okay with gay people existing, as long as they don't do it around them, quote unquote. Well, that kind of signifies that they're grossed out by gay people, right? And that's my point. Conservatives prey on that disgust response. Instead of it just being a feeling they have, the right says, oh no, actually, there's an entire agenda. These people, they want to groom your kids. They want to rape your kids. They want to molest your kids. They want to change your kids' gender, mutilate, butcher them. They feed into that already existing fear, but they use actual well-funded, and frankly, at least if you're a right-winger, seemingly well-thought-out propaganda to prey on it. And it's effective. It works.
Religious rhetoric meant to harm people. That's it. That's how I see it anyway.
What do you think about putting urinals in women's restrooms for women who have penises and they just want to stand and pee?
I think people just making too big of a deal about it. I don't really care.
Ooh. Naughty words.
Giga Chad.
Okay, so we should or shouldn't?
I mean, I don't really care.
Okay, what about tampons and pads in men's restroom
for
men who have periods?
If you're really getting that worked up about it, why does it matter? Like, I don't care. It's just sitting there. I'm not going to take it.
Okay, so we should provide men with tampons.
I mean, if a dude wants a tampon for some reason, he can have a tampon. That's not my business.
What would he use it for?
I don't know. That's his problem.
What would
I like, the best thing about this is the Liberty hangout with the libertarian flag in the background. By the way, Kaitlin Bennett is confirmed a neo-Nazi. Like, she was caught JQ posting. Regardless, though, I like the Liberty hangout and libertarian flag on screen in this little token thing here, while this supposed libertarian is grilling this guy who's responding, I don't care, why should I care, it doesn't affect me, to every question. And she just keeps, like, insisting, like, she's trying so hard to make it seem as though the lefties are the ones that are pushing things onto these freedom-loving libertarians, when in fact she is the one, like a harpy, incessantly harassing this guy.
we use a pad for?
His problem.
Do you think they should seek medical advice if they're having bleeding?
I mean, if they want to, I don't really care. Why should I care?
I don't know, I care about people. If they're bleeding out of their penis, I would want to...
I care about people's personal rights. They can do whatever they want. It's none of my business.
What I love most about this video is that the 90% of them all in the original video, which is linked...
I like how she starts the question with, do you think we should have tampons in the bathroom for men with vaginas who have periods? And then she starts talking about men bleeding out of their dicks. But she started the question about explicitly trans men. She isn't even really good at having a conversation.
Link down below in the description if you want to watch it. They are saying what many of us are believe in. Like, it's none of our business. It doesn't really care. Why are you so worked up about this, Kaitlin? But you know something that Kaitlin Bennett would absolutely hate that I'm promoting in this video? My sponsor of today. Vance Global. What you're looking at here are Vance Global's gummies. They have three different types, including TH gummies. They have CB.
Actually, this is actually a perfect time for me to relocate my weed vape that I've once again lost somehow. This thing is elusive, as you can tell. Oh, it was underneath. I was sitting on it. It's all good. I figured I was probably sitting on it. Well, I might as well blaze it up for the THC Delta 8 weed gummy sponsor, you know? It would be disrespectful not to take a hit for the Delta 8 sponsorship.
D gummies, and then they also have Delta 8 gummies. These white ones are my personal favorite. They taste very yummy. Look at how cute this little thing is, right? So this is a CBD gummy. This actually does not make you go up to heaven, but it helps a lot with sleep and pain and joints.
Yeah, I used to have a CBD vape. a CBD vape that I would hit, and it doesn't really get you high, but it would literally make all my joint pain, muscle pain, etc. go away pretty damn fast. Like, maybe it was placebo, but like 30 seconds after hitting that thing, I would feel significant decrease in my, like, joints and muscles, and how much, like, soreness or pain there was. CBD works.
Whatever it is, this gummy will solve it. Also, edibles are not your particular style of choice. They have 3 different types of smoke products, including TH smokes, CBD, which is my personal favorite, and then the Delta 8. These are absolutely pesticide-free, organic, and they have biodegradable filters, something that you will not get on most current brands. That said, if you use my discount code at checkout, go to vanceglobal.com and use code REPSION at checkout.
I might actually use that. I would like to have my weed shipped to me instead of having to go to the dispensary to buy it. Because, like, everybody who works at the dispensary is high as fuck, except for the security guard. But then I go to the dispensary high as fuck, and then I have to deal with the security guard who's very much not high, and then I go inside and I'm high as balls, and all the employees are high as balls. So, like, I'm fumbling to get my wallet out of my pocket to pay, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, I forgot to go to the ATM because you have to pay with cash. And the lady at the desk is like, "Oh no, it's all good, dude. Just go use the ATM." And so I go and I use the ATM, and I come back and I'm like fumbling to get the cash, like, to the lady, and put the rest of my wallet, whatever change I have left over. And it's quite the experience going to the dispensary. And even if I didn't go there high, I would be high the instant I walked in, because the entrance of my dispensary is literally a lounge. So there are like 12 people getting high as fuck, hotboxing the entire room for the entrance as soon as you walk in, even while you're, like, handing in your ID to get it checked out so you can, like, go into the store. So, like, you're kind of already stoned the second you step in. Like, the air itself is like 25% humidity of THC goo.
You're gonna get 20% off all of your orders, gummies, smokes, and in addition, if you add Repsion 30 with the subscription plan and have these delivered to your house every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every month, every 2 months, you'll get 30% off all of your orders. Allow me to curse you with the devil's lettuce. You will not regret it.
Those are some pretty pre-rolls.
Support the channel. Click the link.
You remember me? Yeah.
Listen, I've been to a lot of dispensaries and I've seen a lot of pre-rolls. Those are some pretty looking pre-rolls. They look like cigarettes. They're so well rolled.
We had class together that one time.
We are freshmen.
We had class together that one time. Do you guys think we should be putting free pads and tampons?
We had class together that one time. We're freshmen. No, we had class together that one time. Awkward laughter. Okay, Kaitlin. Why did you keep that in the video? Why? Why would you keep that in? You have editors. You have a team. You have, like, at least she has her husband, right? Who edits videos, maybe? Like, you have a team. You have at least one other person who edits.
And the men's restroom for men who have periods.
You know how they have those, like, things with condoms? You could just make one set of that.
There aren't free pads in women's restrooms. Why would there be in men's? There should be free pads in women's restrooms and men's restrooms. That's a good thing that we should fight for. That shouldn't be a thing that costs people money.
And just put them in both bathrooms, and then that really defeats the purpose. It's like, and it'd probably be easier to mass produce as well. Just like that one system instead of two.
Now see, when Kaitlin uploaded this video, the comment section originally, I don't have it backed up, but the comment section originally and the like and dislike ratio when it both existed was astronomical. The video got a lot of, hundreds upon thousands of comments, right? In this video, people were posting, Kaitlin, you're wrong. You're posting video of students literally saying it's not my business what people do with their own body, if a man uses a tampon, if a woman uses it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because who the fuck is it affecting? No one, right? She couldn't handle that. So that's why the comments are disabled, is because she can't handle people actually responding, whether
So the right relies... So you'll notice that I've never, like, shut down the comments or ratings on a video before, at least not to my knowledge. My editor may have, but that wouldn't have been me. The reason I do that, or I don't do that, is because I don't really, like, care if it looks like people disagree with me. Something you have to realize is the right relies very heavily on it looking like everyone agrees with them. If you go into their comment sections, any comment that seems like it's even mildly critical will be massively, like, downvoted far to the bottom. You won't see it. And if you do find it, it'll be absolutely dunked on in the comments, like massively ratioed. And the reason for that is the right needs to feel like they're popular. The right doesn't actually have any real stakes in all of this. All of their propaganda about the Jews trying to destroy their way of life and the gays trying to groom their kids, it's all bullshit. It's not real. And so they're fighting a made-up battle, a made-up war. All of their motivations are made up and fake. So it just kind of eventually ends up looking really stupid when you walk up to somebody who isn't bought into all of the propaganda, and simply their lack of care for your fear-mongering ends up being what brings your fear-mongering down. And it's a big part of why she had to shut down the comments and the likes on the videos, because if it's obvious, if you can see all of the hate, then people are going to go, oh, wait, these people are fucking stupid. They need to look popular. They need to look like they're part of the, the silent majority. They're obsessed with that silent majority narrative. So yeah, that's why she shuts down the ratings in the comments.
Would that be intelligently or...
They have no real stakes. To them, politics is nothing but a popularity contest.
or even challenging her own belief system in regards to the things that she spews. She's very, very anti-gay marriage. I don't know if you guys know that, but Kaitlin Bennett does not support two men getting married. This is your typical...
Neither is Matt Walsh or pretty much most of the conservative, Ben Shapiro as well. They're all vying for the, they're advocating for the abolishing of the right for gay people to get married federally here in America. Like, that's... The Republicans have made gay marriage a debated issue again. Like, that's what they're fighting for. Hold on, is chat dead? Marco?
Bible thumper, sort of nut-wing, crazy guns, right activist, extremist who wants to revoke people's rights, whether that be abortion, whether that be gay marriage, whether that be trans rights.
Usually looks, you don't care about kissing guys, it's just like, okay to you?
You clearly care a lot because it bothers you, but I don't, it doesn't bother
bothers me?
Yeah, I really don't care.
Why does it bother me if I want you to do it?
It's such an uncomfortable situation. You obviously you want
to. It's uncomfortable. I don't want you to kiss my fiance. That's what would make me uncomfortable.
Kissing a man in general, it clearly bothers you.
It doesn't bother me. I just think it's gross.
What?
This is all.
Yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Yeah, it's just they just think it's gross, and they've come up with a bunch of lies to try to make it seem like their arguments are based in fact or some level of reality and not emotion. The whole facts don't care about your feelings thing is literally projection. They know they're literally arguing from a place of feeling, and they have to make it seem as though not that they are arguing from a place of feeling, but the left is arguing from a place of feeling, and they are arguing from a place of fact. The further from the truth, they can make people believe, the longer they have before people, snap out of it, realize the right is full of shit, and typically get out of the rabbit hole. They grow out of it a lot of the time. Like, listen, as much as this far-right radicalization stuff is a massive problem, I don't want to give you the impression that you should doom her. These people, the vast majority of these people will grow out of it, and in a couple years, they're probably going to be here in chat with a lot of you. They're going to be here, like, talking about their radicalization. They're going to be posting their videos about their radicalization, how they got out. That is what we're going to have to look forward to in a few years. This whole hate-driven right-wing demagoguery cannot last. It will not sustain itself.
All of the evidence you guys need to understand the brain of Kaitlin Bennett. It doesn't bother me, but I find it gross. What? That may be one of the most contradictory, total opposite statements anyone can make. If something doesn't bother you, then it wouldn't be gross. But the fact that you think two men kissing is gross is evidence and proof that it bothers you. I don't know how more simplified.
Kaitlin Bennett is either trolling really hard and is actually like a business genius who knows that just being hate watched will make her money anyway, and is absolutely just playing the long game geniusly, kind of like Brittany Venti, or she is genuinely really fucking stupid. And when I say stupid, I mean like, she apparently has a biology degree, so I lean on she's a troll. I almost don't believe there is someone as successful and as accomplished as her, which is, some level of success and accomplishment, I will say, can be as dumb as she seems to be. It has to be some kind of character. She genuinely acts like a cartoon character in how dumb she is, like Patrick Star, Ed from Ed, Ed and Eddie levels of dumb, like the cartoon character that was written to be the dumb character.
This clip could be, and the fact of the matter is, she posted this to her own YouTube channel, and that is why Kaitlin Bennett is mocked and ridiculed and laughed at and scoffed at by so many people on the left and on the right. This is not, she's super, super, super conservative. I understand that. But I see both perspectives, both blue and red, always mocking and shitting on this girl because of how fucking stupid she is. The inability to simply recognize what you just said. I've said this in hundreds and hundreds of videos. Look. Freedom of speech does not mean that you have freedom of consequence for things that you say or do. In my last video I made, I talked a little bit about Kanye West and some of his, anti-Semitic remarks and how he challenged Adidas and his Yeezys brand, and a lot of people...
So, they've realized they can't win the argument that, like, oh, I should be allowed to say yada, 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 hate speech, misinformation, deranged shit. They know they can't just say that. They know they cannot just outright say that. So what they say instead is, well, they've evolved their talking points. They've evolved their talking points. So now it's, we can't say that. And us being censored proves we're right. Because why would they want to take down what we're saying unless it was the truth they're trying to hide? Haven't you noticed that, guys? They don't complain about being censored anymore because they realize, like, oh, well, we just want to say hate speech. So instead, they cede that ground. Like, yes, we do want to post hate speech. We do want to, post, like, bad shit. However, the fact that they want to take it down proves we must be onto something. And they'll do that one quote where it's like, you only cut out a man's tongue if you fear what he has to say or whatever, right? And so they'll twist it into a conspiracy of, oh, they're trying to hide what we have to say, not moderate their platforms to keep advertisers on there so they could make money.
People were in the comment section saying, Daniel, I thought you were pro freedom of speech. Of course I'm pro freedom of speech. I'm in the support of you can say whatever the hell that you goddamn want. But if you work for a company, right? Any company for that matter, and you... let's say you work for Microsoft, right? And you have a social media presence for Microsoft. You are a reflective employee of that company. You have in your bio, Microsoft engineer, and you go on social media, you see a black person, you say, I fucking hate black people, or you put, I hate N-words. Guess what? You're gonna get fired. You're gonna get fired from Microsoft.
The conservatives would say that is because the Jewish agenda has Microsoft in their in a chokehold, right? And Microsoft would be forced to do it because the Jews made them or something. And they would use that firing to justify their propaganda. You're being punished because you're correct. Why would they punish you if you were wrong, right? That's basically their logic, right? Like, surely nobody would want to actually censor misinformation. They would just let it go out there and the truth would bubble to the surface itself. So, obviously if they're trying to hide it or censor it, they must be onto something, right?
That is not an issue of no freedom of speech. It's an issue.
Thank you, Nina. That is what I call fractally retarded.
of there are consequences for things that you say
Clearly,
and do.
Xander
And if
Corvus.
you, as an audience or a viewer, can't acknowledge the fact that just because you have the freedom of speech to say it doesn't mean that there's not going to be consequence. Having consequences and freedom of speech are not mutually exclusive, right? They both work together. Say whatever you want, but if you work for a company, you're reflective of those values, those brands, and you say something totally opposite that is racist or sexist or transphobic or homophobic or whatever type of phobic shit that there is out there, you're going to get fired. Stop.
The thing is, this is actually what I find really interesting. So, obviously, no offense to Repsion. I like Repsion. He did kind of fall a little bit into the anti-SJW far-right stuff back in the day. He was never, like, far-right or anything, but he definitely fell into the anti-SJW stuff, and he's very clearly aware of, like, where the missteps in that sort of ideology, you could almost call it, were. And he's acknowledging them now. A lot of the anti-SJW stuff, even left-wing, anti-SJW channels tended to be pretty transphobic back in the day, like 2014, 2016. Trans acceptance, particularly non-binary trans acceptance, was very, very far. Like it seemed like a distant dream that, like, big YouTubers would respect they/them pronouns. Like, that was... Like they/them pronouns was thrown in with, like, star gender stuff back then. Like, that was, like, the tier of, like, how people talked about it, how it was, like, spoken of, made fun of, what have you, right? So it's interesting that Repsion's, gotten out of that, and he realizes that a lot of that stuff was kind of dumb. But I don't know if he's really caught up with the current conservative propaganda, right? So the current conservative propaganda would argue... Here, actually, let me re-listen to this so I can hear what he said.
Say whatever you want, but if you work for a company, you're reflective of those values, those brands, and you say something totally opposite that is racist or...
Oh, yeah. So basically, conservatives have a response to that as well. Conservatives now argue there is a silent majority of people that agree with their values who are being silenced by pressure, by the loud minority that is the left, and that in reality the right are way more numerous, and that it would in fact be more beneficial to market towards the right. They genuinely believe that. That's where go woke, go broke comes from. The right will basically default to this idea that there is a large majority of conservatives out there that are just silent. They're pressured out of being honest about what they believe because they'll be canceled or whatever, right? And so they say go woke, go broke, because they believe that conservative values, conservative aesthetics in media and whatnot will actually make the most money. So they completely reject the idea that companies don't want to be associated with hate speech or misinformation for the sake of like pleasing the public. They reject the concept of the public not liking racism at all. They believe that, in fact, everybody is racist and secretly wants to be in an ethno-state or whatever, right? They fooled themselves into thinking they're part of some muted, huge, popular club.
Sexist or transphobic or homophobic or whatever type of phobic shit that there is out there, you're gonna get fired. Stop being a fucking moron and associating the fact that when people get fired for doing stupid shit or saying stupid shit, it's there for a reason. No company, no business wants to be associated with somebody who's going around saying that they hate black people. It's that simple. Secondly, Kaitlin Bennett, you can't go around and insult people and call them deranged and stupid, and then when people respond using the same sort of name calling than you, act like this fucking blonde ditzo fucking victim. That's what she does. In fact, to further prove how dishonest and disingenuous this little cocksucker
Remind you of anyone we know?
is, let's do this interview. This one is a priceless one where she asks this girl what she's doing for her career and then insults her and demeans her for her career despite her asking what she's into.
Just an example, women's right to vote was something that many women were against.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
What does that say?
Here, we're gonna get a little based right now. I'm not sure if women voting has been the best thing for our country.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sad to hear that because
I'm gonna get a little based right now. I don't think women should vote. I like prepping for like some triggered screaming response that she was hoping she could catch on video and look like, I'm so Sigma, guys. Look at me. I triggered the feminist.
If we look at what women support, ever since women started voting, we have had more cities and more states turn blue. If you look at demographic trends and how they vote, women overwhelm.
Women shouldn't vote because when they have the right to vote, they disagree with me. One of my favorite talking points I hear in my comment sections from conservatives is they'll list a bunch of cities that are known for being shit in America, and they'll say, these cities are shitholes. This is what Democratic control gets you, or Democrat control gets you. And it's like, every city is Democrat controlled. And it's like, God, I wish I could just grab these people by the neck and just bring them into a call on Discord with me on stream and just see how they'd respond to their entire argument getting shattered with one statement, you know? It's always the dumbest people commenting on my videos. I can never really get them into the debates. I would love to get some of the absolute IQ deficient dumb fucks that comment on my videos into a debate. It would be a slaughter. It'd just be fun.
Only support Democrats, and I think that's terrible. I don't want a Democrat presidency. I don't want Democrats to win. I think Republicans, pro-lifers, people who support the Second Amendment, women usually come from a place of emotion rather than looking at things logically.
I totally disagree, and that's just.
I wonder where you could see an example of that, Kaitlin.
Like the example of how you restrict women and just placing them in one category. Saying
well,
that
I'm
women are more
generalizing.
emotional and not intelligent.
Listen, if she interviewed me with that question, if I think women should be allowed to vote, I'd respond with, honestly, nah, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. If it took your vote away, I'd be okay with it. I feel like, and she'd include the clip in the video without realizing how bad it makes her look. Getting like memed on. Like there has to be some kind of psyop going on behind the scenes at Liberty Hangout. There has to be some leftist editor who snuck behind the scenes.
Generalizing.
You asked me about which right, all of the rights. Right to education, to healthcare, to
those aren't rights.
No, but yes, they are.
Where?
Everywhere. Declarations. I'm from Sweden once again. We have a whole other system.
Well, we're here in America.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm so sad to hear that, like a fellow woman saying these things. But
well, I support.
I wish all the happiness and success.
I still don't know what rights I don't have.
And all the rights to you.
What the actual? What? How? Why? First of all, Kaitlin, I want to know what statistic you're referencing in these numbers games and like, well, statistically, more women are Democrats than Republicans, or more women are this, or more women that. First of all, every single person, man, woman, trans, should have a right to vote. And the fact that you're getting on camera here and you're actually going up to women who are as
Liberty Hangout. I honestly don't think women should be allowed to vote. Thank you for watching Liberty Hangout, the home of libertarian talking points.
Or I think it was International Women's Day or whatever it is, on just representing like women having equal rights. You know, I'm not talking about like radical feminism or anything, just in general that women should have equal rights. And you're coming up to her and saying that women should not have the right to vote because more people voted for one political side than you disagree with. You're maybe one of the most anti-women, even though you claim that.
So there's a word for political movements that believe those that disagree with them should not have the right to have any representation whatsoever in a nation. They have a word for that for people who believe that, and it starts with an F. And their logo is a bundle of sticks. No, fascists. Thank you, chat.
You're for women, but you're anti-woman by telling a woman that she doesn't have a right to vote. At the same time, you're also going around telling a woman this, who you asked for what they're pursuing in career, and then demean them for their actual career choice.
Leading to war crimes.
Essentially, yes. By investing in companies like Lockheed Martin that are war profiteers, they're encouraging the behavior.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of like Democrats.
This person knows what they're talking about. For those that don't know, apparently the symbol for fascism, like the political ideology of fascism, is literally an axe with a bundle of sticks. There's an old slang word for a bundle of sticks you might be aware of that also starts with the word F. And Nazis and other fascists also tend to be projecting their hatred. It tends to be some kind of projection. And I think it's hilarious how it all works. It all comes around full circle, you know?
And
it all makes
funding
sense.
getting involved in Planned Parenthood, they're funding genocide.
I wouldn't say that because Planned Parenthood saves the lives of a lot of pregnant women. Like, even if we don't look at abortion at all.
Wow, Kaitlin, that expression. Oh my God, wow, like somebody's making an actual intelligent point. You're right. This girl's right. You know what she's right about? The fact is, Planned Parenthood is not just for exclusively abortions. It is for female biological functions, and they supply a plethora of different needs that women overall need for their bodies. It is like if
general reproductive health stuff, right? So like if you're pregnant and you need to make sure the pregnancy is healthy, for example, getting prenatal vitamins and stuff like that, you can do that at a Planned Parenthood, which is why it's so disgusting when the right made a habit out of, and they're going to start doing this at hospitals that they believe are doing like gender transition stuff to kids. So expect this to be a thing when they start assaulting doctors and parents with taking their children to children's hospitals. They would stand outside of like Planned Parenthoods armed, and they would assault random pregnant women going into the Planned Parenthood, or they would like try to get in her way, stop her, like pull her away, stuff like that, because they think that she was trying to get an abortion, even if she was just going there for like prenatal like care or whatever, right? She would still get like harassed, right? So there was this, I remember this story where a bunch of like old men, army veterans, went outside of a Planned Parenthood in order to form a line to protect the women going in and out from the conservatives outside protesting, because they have a reputation for assaulting, screaming at, and trying to intimidate the women going in. So these like old like veteran men standing out like in a line along the sidewalk to guard the women from like the conservatives screaming and berating them and trying to throw shit at them and whatnot. That was really common back in the day. Back when like abortion was a less settled issue, and now it's becoming a less settled issue again. So expect that kind of stuff to happen, and expect it to happen with any like trans care, places. You're gonna hear stories about it.
If you just think that the only reason Planned Parenthood exists is just strictly for abortions, you are an ignorant, naive motherfucker. And you've never actually walked into a Planned Parenthood. You've never used a Planned Parenthood. And you're fucking using one of those anti-abortionist little guidebooks that Christians make, which are real, by the way. I used to have one. I wish I still had one so I could use it and show it to you guys. But these little handouts of basically like, oh, Planned Parenthood is committing.
So Repsion used to be a conservative Christian. So he knows the conservative tactics, like, going back in the day. They literally hand out pamphlets to drill the talking points in. It's propaganda. They don't have actual arguments, they have a dialogue tree. And they rely on whatever opponent they get into a conversation with not being prepared for the entirety of the dialogue tree. But if you break the dialogue tree, they shut down and run away.
Genocide for every single abortion that they use, despite the fact that some women can't have the baby, and if the baby does happen, that woman can actually die from pregnant. There's so many different things within the aspect of female pregnancy that people don't know about, talk about, that Planned Parenthood can help and fix and utilize. But one thing you'll never see about Kaitlin Bennett is she'll never admit, hey, Planned Parenthood also offers services for men. That's right. They supply tests for men, for STDs. Wow. Who would have thought that a company can actually help you with your sexual history or your sexual, whatever that you're doing, male or female or trans, they supply.
Well, something you have to know is that conservatives want to destroy the ability for any form of casual sex to occur. They believe that all sex ideally should be done for the sake of procreation, and they also believe that premarital sex is a sin. They want, one of the big reasons they want to get rid of abortion is because it means that young girls who get pregnant will not be able to, not have the baby, right? Having the baby is another way for the man who's abusing them to keep them in line, right? And the right wants to that's literally the right's ideal world, right? Conservatives will start to get more mask off about it as we go, but their ideal world is one in which, You know, girl turns 14 years old. Oh, she had her first period. Marry her off to a 35-year-old man who can't get laid. You know, oh, he got her pregnant? Oh, well, she belongs to him now. She needs to be on her hands and knees cleaning, making food, and fucking whenever he wants. That's their world. That's their world that they want. Have you seen what conservatives advocate for behind closed doors? Or in, like, their little Discord calls, or in, like, the smaller streams and communities, their 4chan posts, where they talk about, like, what they want to see the world be like? This is what they want. It's about control over women.
Apply help, the free resource. And you're against that, Kaitlin Bennett. In fact, if you go to Planned Parenthood right now, they have a bunch of different options that they help. Imagine being against men and women, Kaitlin Bennett, because that's really what you're...
Oh, thank you for reminding me, chat. They're, of course, also very defensive of marital rape, right? They consider marriage to be like, yes, once the man has gotten the woman into marriage, in a lot of states, marital rape isn't illegal. That's a big part of why they push for marriage so hard. Once the woman's locked in a marriage, the man can rape her in some red states without any consequences because marriage is considered consent. Yeah, you want to... Here, let's look into it. Let's see how Virginia's doing. Main difference lies in punishment. South Carolina's statute on assault and criminal sexual conduct lays out distinctively different definitions and penalties between rape by a spouse and by other parties. First and second degree sexual assault carries a minimum prison sentence of 20 years respectively, while 10 years is the maximum sentence for marital rape. So they prosecute less. Rhode Island, first degree sexual assault. Okay, so they consider it first degree sexual assault. In Oklahoma, rape by a spouse can only be charged under subsection B 111, rape defined which states. B, rape is a sexual act of intercourse accomplished by a male or female who is the spouse, for force, violence threatened upon. So force or violence has to be used for it to be chargeable there. Ohio, a rape happens in a marriage when the spouses are living together and can only be charged under subsection numbers, which states that no person shall engage. That's fine. Nevada law appears to require force or threat of force. Mississippi, a person can be convicted of sexual battery of a spouse when they are living together only if he engages in forcible penetration against the victim's will. Michigan, it excludes situations where the criminality comes solely due to the spouse being mentally incapable or mentally incapacitated. So it's only if there excludes situations where the criminality comes from the okay, so it is legal to rape your spouse in Michigan if the reason it was rape was considered due to mental incapability or mental incapacitation. Okay. Maryland law states that if the spouses are living together, prosecution can only take place if the accused uses force or threat of violence in the act without consent of the spouse. Idaho defines criminal rape, not excluding marital rape, as the oral vaginal penetration. It has to be penetration. Connecticut deals with forced sex of the spouse, has to be forced. California, marital rape is recognized as a crime, of course. Obviously, California recognizes it. What states do not? This is fucking depressing. Let's get off this topic. This is too depressing. So yeah, as you can see, we have a pretty weird relationship here in America with charging marital rape the same way that you would charge literally any other kind of rape. So you're starting to understand now why the right is so in favor of marriage and so against divorce. And why they say it should be fine for young girls to not get abortions as long as they marry the guy that got them pregnant. By young girls, I mean like 14, 15-year-olds. That's a Matt Walsh quote. Yeah, so it's all starting to come together now, right? What their overall worldview is.
Displaying here.
I think that wasn't actually communism.
Of course it wasn't. And terminating babies isn't actually terminating babies. You are wacky. You are really just disgusting, and I think...
Wait. I wonder... Find out if this person follows me. Find out if this person follows me. Can you see the @? How hilarious would it be if this person followed me? That would be great. It'd be even funnier if they had me blocked, though.
just disgusting, and I think it's really sad what you support, and you're sitting here laughing about it. That's sad.
This is my Twitter bio. Are you kidding me? I really hope this is in the video, but I love this.
What's your name and major?
My name is Sophie. I'm engineering. That's as far as I'll go in that.
All right, well, I'm sure that they have a quota there for women engineers and feminists. Hopefully you're...
This woman's just like 4chan green texts being like shot out at mass speed. Like she can only reply to anything anyone says in 4chan green text. So everything just kind of feels out of place, and like you're trying to use internet gotcha memes that would work in like a Twitter argument or like a Reddit argument here, but you just look stupid and like a douchebag.
As good as the guys, usually you're not,
I'm
but...
definitely not. Yeah, no, there's no way.
No, I don't think so. Statistically, genetically, usually women aren't really good in that field.
Man, Kaitlin, it's almost like that you think...
Is it all projection? Maybe she is genetically just dumb. She's just a dumb bitch. And she thinks that every other woman must also be as dumb of a bitch as she is. I assure you, not every woman on Earth is as dumb of a bitch as Kaitlin Bennett. Kaitlin Bennett.
Think that another woman is inferior to you because they chose a career choice that you think is designed for only and men exclusively. Wow, it's almost like sexism can go both ways. You know, women can be sexist too, and Kaitlin Bennett, it is a fantastic example. But most of all, you call this girl disgusting and attack her just like for no reason. And you talk about people not wanting to have a conversation with you. That's why. If you were to sit down and actually ask a question on why do you think this, or can you support your reasoning for why you believe in this, and you just listen to what they have to say rather than demean them and call them disgusting for having an opposing perspective than you, then maybe you wouldn't have people protesting and throwing shit at you constantly at universities and schools that you attend. That's why. That's why you're hated.
The most effective propaganda that Kaitlin Bennett has is whenever people on the left, like, engage in violence against her of any kind, right? Like throwing stuff at her. Don't do that. Like, Kaitlin Bennett does her own job of destroying herself anytime you just kind of act cool and like, in response to what she has to say. That is the best thing you can possibly do. The only videos that she comes out of it looking good to the right are the ones where she is berated or assaulted or anything like that. I'm a freedom kind of guy. Listen, you gotta do freedom all the way if you're gonna do any freedom, though. That's what I'm saying, alright? That's all I'm saying. Freedom it all the way. No half measures, Walt. No half measures, Walter.
The fact of how you conduct yourself in these interviews, how you treat other women, how you treat and beg and antagonize the crowd intentionally to serve a reaction, and then when you get it, you play the professional blonde ditzy victim.
Could you move back?
Yep. Can you move up so you can hear?
They're not using a microphone. You're causing commotion. They're not using a microphone.
Oh, I'm not. I'm talking this way.
You and I both know that when they're not using a microphone, it's hard to hear. You're causing a disturbance.
Well, if you're not using a microphone, it's hard to hear. How do you hear me? They can hear me, and I don't have a microphone. Right, I do have in this country.
She's holding a microphone, ironically enough. I feel like she should hide the microphone as she says that. Why does she do this to herself? Like, even when she makes like a passable point, she just hurts herself. This is self-harm. She's self-harming live on YouTube. This is TOS.
I'm sorry. And so does she. She has a right not to speak to you as well. And you are disrespecting these people right now. Please take a step away because you're disrespectful right now.
It's a women's march. I'm not being as loud as you are.
Are you listening?
Okay, hold on. Can I point something out that I noticed there? So you got this like definitely like wealthy white liberal woman, okay? And you've got this woman who is definitely not white, right? Watch the body language and the entitlement of this white lady here. Particularly pay attention to what she does to this lady. Watch.
Respecting these people right now. Please take a step away.
Only the audacity of wealthy white liberal women maybe they're friends and they know each other or something, but like, am I the only one who caught that? Am I the only one that caught that? Listen, I'm gonna get Giga Red Pill MGTOW here, okay? The only demographic of people I've consistently met that seems to have never been taught to keep their hands to themselves are white women. White women are just like super touchy-feely handsy with everybody. And it's I don't know why. Like both in ways like this and like just generally more grabby, you know, true, and it's great. Sure, but also it leads to shit like this, and you can just kind of tell like there's a difference, you know, in the way that society teaches people how they should act, right?
Because you're disrespectful right now.
It's a women's march. I'm not being as loud as you are.
Are you listening?
Are you marching?
How about you, sir? Can you wait, sweetie, for a minute?
Oh, I'm just standing here. She's yelling at me. I'm not being loud. I'm not trying to disrupt anything. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm just standing here. Yeah, I'm not yelling. She said that she's boiling inside. I just have a difference of opinion. That's it.
I'm just struggling.
I just have a difference of opinion, and I think people who have different opinions from me shouldn't be allowed to have the right to vote.
To hear her though.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure they would let you move up a little bit.
You're quiet. Everyone can hear this.
Oh, I'm quietly.
Reminder, guys, conservatives will always fall back to, I just want to have my own opinion. I just have a different opinion whenever they do the whole victim, like, that's their go-to, like, play the victim thing, right? Oh, you're so triggered. I just have different opinions. 5 minutes later. I don't think women should have the right to vote. If you look, actually, women tend to vote blue, and ever since women got the right to vote, cities have gotten bluer, and the votes have gotten bluer and bluer. And it's like, so you just think people who disagree with you shouldn't have the right to vote? Yeah. Okay, go fuck yourself. I just have a different opinion from you. What's wrong with you? It's just, we're going right back to it's just my opinion. It'll collapse on itself. Trust me, guys.
I actually don't have a loud voice in general.
Don't talk to her. Sally, turn around.
Women's march, and she's telling women not to talk to me. All right, trigger warning, Kaitlin Bennett has arrived. I need a big trigger warning up here. Trump supporter has arrived, trigger warning.
Like I said, 4chan green speak. Or green text speak. She can only speak in 4chan green texts. That's all she's got. That's her entire vocabulary.
I'm just here to cover this. I also want to know what the difference of this march is rather than the one in January.
Could you move over here, please? So we can...
Are you moving people away from me?
No. But I'm not afraid of you.
I'm not afraid of you.
Okay.
Why would you be afraid of me? I'm a cute little girl. I'm not intimidated.
Source?
Apparently she is afraid because she just ran away.
You're doing damage to not only different communities, but you're spreading misinformation on women, on trans people, on same-sex couples, on abortion rights, on voting rights, on political statistics, on Democrats and Republicans.
By the way, her verbalizing, I'm just a cute little girl, is probably the most explicit example of conservatives playing the victim you could get. Hello, Luna. You saying hello to the chat? Oh. You guys have been blessed. You've been blessed. She's camera shy usually. Oh, she's thwacking me with her little tail. Hi, baby. Hello, princess. Oh. Kitty Stunlock. We like Kitty Stunlock.
You are so riddled with disinformation. I haven't even dug into her personal beliefs on vaccines. I'm afraid to even look into that so far, but this is not going to be the last time that I talk about Kaitlin Bennett on this channel. I assure you of this. But I want to challenge anybody who's watching this video right now is if you ever see Kaitlin Bennett in real life and she's walking around with a microphone, please make sure you have your phone at least concealed or something, or maybe even record her and you're talking to her. And I want you to go up to this girl and I want you to ask her, did you poop yourself at that frat party? Because for
That's what you do. You damn well better ask if she shit herself at that frat party. Because you damn well know that comrade we have behind the scenes at Liberty Hangout will make sure to keep that clip in the edit.
For those of you who don't know, where things get hilarious about Kaitlin Bennett, not that the fact that she's already stupid and listening to her talk with ignorance is already somewhat entertaining and hilarious, but the fact is, there is an image of her laying at a frat party at a college, and she shit herself, okay? This is alleged, obviously, but the image...
That's a pretty good censor of it. That's a pretty good censor of the image.
Of the people who she attended the school with claim that it's her, and she gets very, very angry and almost walks. There's clips of her walking away from people who bring this up about her pooping herself.
I think there's one really important question, and that's, did you shit yourself at a frat party?
Why are you talking about that when we're talking about soup? You know what?
We need more men like this guy. I love how she's like, why are you asking me that question? Well, Kaitlin, why are you going...
You know, she just owned it. No one would care, right? Like, if she just said, oh yeah, it was Taco Tuesday, I had too much tequila that night, I ate shit by hitting the ground, and then I did shit. That was a wild night. College was crazy. You know, like, if she just played it off like that, no one would care. Like, it would have no more power anymore if she just played it off like a joke. Like, yeah, man, college was crazy.
Up to every single person, asking what somebody's major is, then insulting them and demeaning for their major, or insulting them and calling disgusting for their personal beliefs. The same could be asked for you. To finalize this video, this last clip is priceless. And yes, I know it's coming from Fox News. I don't like Fox News. I'm not a fan of Fox News, but this is just used as video documentation, as evidence that this did in fact happen.
Let's carry a gun on campus.
Simply to express my Second Amendment right. Also, I am the founder of a club on Kent State campus, Liberty Hangout, and we were doing an event where we just opened a discussion to people to come talk to us about gun rights, and my cameraman got assaulted. If we had a firearm present on us, open carried, I definitely believe that wouldn't have happened.
What's the reaction been like?
It's been crazy. I was not expecting the blatant racism that's been thrown at me, the right out death threats, just
what kind of racism?
Death threats, just
what kind of racism?
So they're saying that I have white privilege for going.
This is one straight out of 2016.
Hello there, I'm Sargon of Akkad, and today we're going to talk about how the left are actually the real racists. You see, in the very term white privilege the left like to bandy about so often, you'll notice it brings up that white people have privilege, which means that they believe white people are superior if you really think about it. And is that not truly, really racist? Gotcha, lefties. The left are the true racists.
I feel like you could see that in an actual like Sargon video in like 2014.
Out on campus with my AR-10, they are saying that this all has to do about me being white, that I was able to do this. I think that's very insulting to minorities. I don't think that anything bad would happen to them. I actually had a black police officer with me the whole time that was just, he loved it. So, it's just insulting.
Where you're carrying that AR-10, is because you had graduated the day before. Had you been a student, you would have, what, been arrested or gotten a talking to?
Look, I'm not someone who uses the term white privilege very often, although it definitely exists. I just don't use the terminology very often to describe situations.
Okay. All right. I feel like this is an example that I am going to use from here on out if I ever get into a debate about whether or not white privilege is real, okay? I'm going to ask, what would have happened if a black student walked onto campus like Kaitlin Bennett did with a gun over his shoulder? What would have happened? It would not have gone as well as it would have gone for Kaitlin Bennett. That is white privilege. The fact that Kaitlin Bennett was able to walk onto her college campus with a giant gun hanging over her shoulder, and people were sure, I'm sure a little bit like freaked out or whatever, but no one was as freaked out as I'm sure they would have been had a black man done the same. Because our culture has stereotyped it so as that would be terrifying to a lot of white people. Like, they'd be freaked out, even though a white person open carrying is seen as like, oh, just a redneck using his Second Amendment rights. Black man carrying a gun, it's like, oh god, is he a gang member? Oh, is he a criminal? Is he breaking the law? And it's like, open carrying is legal, regardless of what race you are, by the way. And yet, our society has stereotyped the two things differently.
But in this context, the scenario of this, what we have here, there is. And what I mean by this is if a black man or a black woman walked onto campus with an M16 strapped to their back, I'm sorry, but there would be a uproar or people calling the police saying, there's a black man or a black woman on campus with a fucking machine gun. Oh my, it would be an outcry. But because she's a white, blonde, she can walk right up and waltz into a college with the strap to her back. And
I hope he cut out white, blonde, dumb bitch. I hope that's what he cut out. I'm almost certain he did, but that's legendary.
And that right there, the reaction of how people would treat the same situation if it was a black man or woman, that shows that she does have
Squad
white
W.
privilege. In this particular case, she does. Absolutely. She's doing something that if another person did with this different skin color would never be allowed. Anyways, guys, that's it. This has been the Kaitlin Bennett Files. I'm going to make another video on her. I'm letting you guys know, but this has been the Kaitlin Bennett Files. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't checked out my gaming channel...
You're a fucking bum with that riot shit, bro. No. Shit is sad. You're a sad fucking case. Might as well camp.
Kill him, not me. Everybody fuck Repzion.
Fucking riot shield trolling, that's great. Anyway, guys, Repzion has really good videos. I highly recommend his channel. It's really fucking good. He's been around for a long time, making some great content. Go drop a like, go drop a comment. Tell Repzion that I sent you, that you were sent by Xander Hall. And go send support, because we watched their whole video live on stream, and the least we can do as payment is supply a nice raid of people over to the channel and over to this video. So yeah, go watch it, go subscribe, go drop a like, go comment, all that stuff. Listen, if you enjoyed this video, I really appreciate it. Like the video, stream, VOD, whatever it may be that you're watching. It really helps my channel out and my videos more than you even realize. You can also subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube tells you when I go live or I upload a new video. You can also follow my social medias, all linked down below in the description, including my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, fan Discord, and so on. And of course, finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, you can do so quite easily by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.